Well, good morning, everybody, and happy Wednesday. And Ken, welcome to another episode.
Yes, thank you. I'm actually in my office again.
Yeah.
Just for today. Next week I'll be coming live from Mexico, assuming that my internet works good.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say that we were just talking about that before we actually got started, that you're off on another trip next week. And I'm off on one myself, but I'll be back for the show on Wednesday. This Sunday, I head up north for some kayak camping and fishing with my brother-in-law. So it'll be off-grid entirely for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then I'll be back for live stream on Wednesday. So looking forward to that. And hey, speaking of looking forward to trips, if anybody is going on a trip, would like to comment or leave questions as we get through today's episode, you can do so. If you're watching on LinkedIn, just leave your comment there. We'll get to it. Same with Facebook and same with YouTube, because we are streaming on all three channels. And Ken, the topic we're going to talk about today seems like a bit of a downer, but hopefully it won't feel that way by the time we get through it. But really talking about the race to the bottom. And
so I'm assuming that pun was intended. Feels like a downer.
Yeah. Oh boy, I'll take credit for it, but no, actually it wasn't intended. But before we get to that, I actually want to have some really up news. So a good friend of mine in the industry and a good friend of yours, I'm sure, Jeff Bendix, he has recently just been awarded something, and we're going to get to that. What he was awarded for. We're actually going to talk about it in more detail later in the show, but I did want to respect Jeff's time and bring him in today just to congratulate him. So just one sec while I get him in here. What's going on, Mr. Bendix?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you today?
Good. Welcome to Wednesday, August 4th.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me in. I appreciate it.
Well, I want to thank you. And really, the only reason I brought you in today is I just wanted to give you a heartfelt congratulations. Recently, you've had some press and some news about an award that you've won. And Ken, I'm going to hide you for a second to make some room here. I haven't done this one in a while since the 10-day challenge, right? Bye, Ken.
You're kicking him back out of the live stream.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to make some room for, this graphic here. So one sec. I was so excited to see this, and maybe we can get you to talk a little bit about what the award is and what it means for your organization.
Yeah, sure. So it's from, as you can see on the graphic there, it's from Channel Futures. So, one of the main technology industry media companies, and they have this list called the Next Gen 101. So it's focused on the top 101 managed service providers. It's not real granular to specifically what type of technology, just technology as a whole. So lots of information you have to submit, and financials and trends and what types of technologies you're supporting and vendors and things of that nature. And it's a list of who's in their opinion on basically the leading edge of technology, who's doing the right things for their customers, taking care of cybersecurity and managed technology services, and a whole host of things like that. So so then they have this list of the 101 most watched companies on the leading edge of technology and supporting their customers. And last week we were awarded as part of that list of 101. So that's awesome. We're very honored to be on that list.
Well, big congratulations. And I was happy to see it because, Jeff, you and I have known each other for a lot of years through a lot of things that have happened in managed print. And I can still remember that day many years ago when you said, I've got this crazy idea. I think I'm going to start adding some managed IT services to my practice. And I'll never forget it because I thought it was a great idea. But at that time, the industry was still pretty hesitant to start thinking about diversifying, right? So you really grabbed onto that opportunity early, and it's just so exciting to see you getting some of that reward now.
Yeah, I remember that phone call. I was actually sitting in my pickup in the airport parking lot, getting ready to fly to somewhere. I don't remember where I was going. But okay, I think I'm going to jump in both feet. Me, I don't just dip a toe in the water. I head first. So I'm like, I better call Wes just to bounce this off him.
Well, I appreciate that. We both love innovation and following the trends, right? So I won't keep you too long this morning. Just wanted to take a couple of minutes and make sure that Ken and I had a chance to congratulate you in person and make sure that more people in the industry can, see some of the great stuff you're doing. So Jeff, keep it up.
Great. Thank you very much, guys.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, buddy.
See you.
Yeah, a true innovator in the field, right? And just so excited for him
Yeah.
to see him, getting some recognition. And I think one of the things that we'll, do now that we've started on a high note is get into this race to the bottom that we talked about. Looks like we've got a couple comments coming in already. Oh, it looks like it's just you. Where are you watching from today? We'll throw it up there. So where are you watching from today, people? Please do let us know in your comments. Ken is we're both travelers, but Ken actually travels right now while I'm still stuck in Canada with the border closed. Thank you, US. And so let us know where you're watching from. We'll be sure to check the comments and make sure we get back. And go ahead, Ken.
Speaking about travel, let's talk about your first trip coming up. What's the first thing that you guys scheduled to the U.S. right now?
Well, the BTA event in October, which I'm super excited about in Asheville, North Carolina. And I'm super stoked. That'll be the first time I've been on a trip in a year and a half. I'll be speaking there actually on Flat Rate, and super excited to have that opportunity. So for all of you watching that are going to be in Asheville, I cannot wait to see you there for my first trip in a year and a half. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because I'm speaking there on business planning, which we talked a little bit about last week. I'm also moderating a panel of dealers that are already starting the diversification process. So for those of you that can, come to Asheville. It's a great town. Hopefully we time it for the fall colors, and it'll be a lot of fun. So if you get a chance, come to Asheville and join us at the BTA event there.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. And it looks like we got OJ. Thanks for chiming in Northern Virginia near Washington, D.C. I don't know if you're having the same kind of weather I'm having on the East Coast today, but it is a beautiful August day. So thanks for joining us today, OJ. Yeah, and I saw a note from our buddy Jeff as well. He said that in his neck of the woods, let me see if we've got here, beautiful South Dakota, Harleys are going through every day on their way to Sturgis. So that's pretty exciting. And I know that we've got Friday the 13th coming up here. I don't know if Jeff knows this, but we have a motorcycle event that takes place not too far from where I am, probably about a half-hour drive. And it's the biggest in Canada and arguably one of the biggest bike events in North America. So some pretty cool stuff. All right. So we're going to move on to it. So this race to the bottom that we've talked about, I know some people say this is bad news and we're naysayers and everything else, but there are certain truths that we've experienced in our industry, as we always do with change, right? And I was actually on Wikipedia. I'm going to read something here quickly. And this kind of goes through the history of even actually before what we consider a true copy, right? So before the widespread adoption of xerographic copiers, photodirect copiers produced by machines such as Codex Verifax were used. A primary obstacle associated with the pre-xerographic copying technologies was the high cost of supplies. So a Verifax print required supplies costing about 15 cents in 1969, and that's for, I don't even think it was a black and white copy at that point. But keep in mind, that's 15 cents in $1969, so whatever the inflation is, right? Well, a Xerox print could be made for basically 3 cents, including paper and labor. Again, this is in the future. The coin-operated photostat machine, still found in some public libraries in the late 1960s, everyone should remember the smell of those, made letter-sized copies for 25 cents each at a time when the minimum wage for a U.S. worker was $1.65 an hour. And the first time that we saw this price reduction is when the Xerox machines first started entering the market and replacing those devices for, about 10 cents a page, right? So just under half of what those, photostatic ones were, kind of doing. So fast forward to today, the devices to be able to produce those pages, the revenues are dramatically lower, right? And Ken, you've been in this business as long as I have. Photocopiers aren't any different than other, technologies, right? What used to be luxury items. I can remember a time when buying a car. Most people don't realize this, especially our, probably younger viewers, but that, things like heated seats, electric reclining seats, power windows, windshield heaters, those technologies were all available in the 1950s, right? Like, it's not that they weren't there, they just weren't affordable, right? And of course, those are all
exactly. Well, and just to comment on that, I can go back to when I started selling cost per copy when I was a Toshiba dealer in El Paso. we were getting a penny for a non-connected black and white device.
Yep.
So, black and white copy, monochrome machine, and not connected, I was getting a penny for. Now we're seeing, prices down, 5 or 6 mils for a black and white copy. And it's like, how much lower can we go?
Yeah, it's really astonishing with, one of the customers I work with in Australia. This is a global problem, right? That when we were kind of doing some price builds for, a flat rate model, when he was showing me the cost per page that they were, charging, and I know the dollar value is different, but I was still shocked. And he said, yeah, it is absolutely off the charts. And looks like Mr. Rick Lambert has joined us in. Thanks. Can't wait to have you on an episode, actually, Ken. We'll have to get in touch with Rick to talk to him. He's got some phenomenal stuff that he's doing for this channel to help rejuvenate some life into it as well. So thanks again for tuning in. And looks like we got Jesse from Virginia. Good to see you again, Jesse. Hopefully things are good down in your neck of the woods. Can't wait to get down there for a road trip again. That's one of my favorite places to drive through with my family. So looking forward to doing some of that. Yeah, so these device revenues are definitely, lower than they've ever been. And I always like to look at, page feeds. So if it's a 65 page a minute device, versus what that would be worth now, versus what that was worth 10 years ago and versus 15 years ago, right? So those revenues have really come down. I'm not sure how much more they're going to come down, but I think the one thing we all know is that they're going to continue to, right? And Ken, as we know as well, that the page revenues, as we just talked about, are obviously lower, which is a problem. So if you're just maintaining your existing base, you're losing money, right? That this is a game now of either grabbing additional customer share to make up for those losses, or to come up with different ways to do things. And obviously that's one of the reasons that we talk about flat rate, but we'll get into that. And the third component that we've got to consider here is that obviously margins are lower too. And one of the things, Ken, I'm a big fan of doing assessment-based selling for management, right? So going in, trying to understand what the customer problems actually are, and then coming up with outcome-based solutions for them, right? So to say, okay, here's the 5 things we agreed are the most contentious in your office when it comes to document production and your workflow. Here's the solution that I've come up with. Will that, those things satisfy, what you're looking for? And the reason, everybody, like people that are watching this that already do assessment-based selling get it, is that you can increase your close rates from anywhere from 3 out of 10 to 7 out of 10. So yes, there's more work up front, but you're winning more business, and you're winning more business at higher margins, right? But typically, go ahead, Ken.
Well, I just wanted to share it because it's interesting. What I see in the industry today is something very similar to how I bought my last car. And I am a salesman's worst nightmare because I knew exactly what vehicle I wanted. And what I did was I sent all of the dealers in the surrounding area the specs on what I wanted. And everybody immediately called me and wanted me to come in for test drive. I didn't want to test drive. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. I said, no, respond to the email. And then I circulated the lowest quote to everybody till I got to a point where nobody would go lower than the existing lower quote. and I went in and bought that car. But the result was I saved probably $6,000 or $7,000 on my car purchase until I, driving the price down and down and down. And that's what we see in the industry today is if you go in and quote, let's say I'll pick on my last brand I work for, you quote a Konica device. Most customers now are smart enough to know that, okay, well, let me go to all the other Konica dealers in the area and I will see who can go lower until I get to a point that, I get the best possible deal. And it's good for the customer, but it is killing our industry.
Yeah, and I would argue that it's not even good for the customer in the long run, right? Because when you're operating on razor thin margins, as a dealer, and for all the people out there, that are in the business world, like we're not talking about your personal, money or anything else. The dealers have to be healthy because they can't innovate and they can't come up with new solutions like Jeff Bendix is doing. No, if Jeff wasn't a healthy dealership, like if Bendix Imaging wasn't healthy, on the managed print side, then he couldn't invest in the managed IT side, right? So it's so critical that people understand that even though you understand quote unquote the game, that it's not good for anybody, right? And Ken, I love your car story. I'm the exact opposite. My dealer loves me because I get bored before I'm finished with the payment terms and whatever vehicle I'm in. So he's always making money on me but you know what? Kudos to him because he understands my buying pressure, right? What motivates me as a buyer for a car is different than what motivates you. You want the lowest price. I want the next thing that's got features that I didn't have on the first one, right? So when I look at, upgrading to the new Jeep, how hard do you think it was for me to make a decision looking at the new Jeep pickup and how soon did I have to have that, right? So, and that's part of our job in the managed print world is just never assume that every customer is going after the lowest price, that there are different buying motivations. And that's one thing I love about the flat rate program is we're not making that assumption. You're going to run into those, and we'll talk about that it's not for everybody. They're going to be customers, Ken, that buy print like you buy cars, right? Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you've got to get choosier about who your customers are, right? So if 90% of your customers are bottom barrel feeders, then there's no one really to blame. We can't blame the customers. We're going after them. We're chasing them, right? Yeah. There's a bigger problem that this all leads to, Ken, too. So we've talked about what it is for the dealers, but the Office Equipment Channel has been and will continue to be a sales-driven organization, right? So when revenues are lower, both on the devices and on pages, and when margins are lower, what do you think? What's the impact that has on the caliber of salespeople that we can get?
Well, let's just say I think that the good salespeople are smart enough to go where the real money is, and they leave our industry, go somewhere else. Because the days of the real good money seems to be gone from our industry. They're out. They might be selling cars. They might be selling houses. They may be selling securities because the sales skill is so portable that if you can sell anything.
Well, I'll tell you where I'd want to be a sales rep right now. And I keep hating to use them as an example, but Bendix Imaging, because the sales reps have opportunity to this broad portfolio of products. And, for everyone watching today, that's one of the things that Ken and I have been very bullish on. We are not, we've never said, and we'll never say that flat rate is going to save, the Office Equipment Channel, that if you want to, make more money in managed print alone, that flat rate's your entire answer. You will make more money with flat rate than you will with cost per page. I guarantee it. That being said, if you really want to grow, then you've got to add some of these diversified services. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But if you want those salespeople to stay, then you've got to give them that excitement again to be able to make money on different things, right? Okay. When I came in, go ahead, Ken. You're laughing. You got a good one there, I'm sure.
Well, you got to give them a purple cow to sell. What can I say? You got to have at least one purple cow reference every show.
Oh, and sorry, by the way, Jeff Bendix does say that he's hiring. Oh, one other quick one there. Ian Berger, I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Really good to see you. And hopefully people take the time and listen to this. Yeah, we appreciate that. And that's one of the things on our show. Ken and I are not naysayers. We love the managed print space and believe there's a lot of money to be made in it. We just think it's very important to make sure that our businesses diversify and adapt to be able to really make money in it, right? Because I don't want to just get by. I like making money, and I think a lot of people watching this do too, right?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. So salespeople are leaving, and it's true. That's one of the conversations I have all the time. In the old days, it used to be when we first started doing managed print, people were looking for managed print specialists, right? And I got in early, like I was doing managed print for a long time. Started doing training with my old business on assessment-based selling back in the day. And one of the most common questions I get from dealers was, help me find a good, managed print specialist, right? For two reasons. One, there wasn't that many of them at the time in the early days. And secondly, other companies were gobbling them up because they were, paying them hand over fist, right? Fast forward to today, the question that I get is, how do I get top caliber salespeople? And the answer is, give them something more to sell, right? There has to be other things that we can, get them to sell. So if it's cybersecurity, if it's managed IT, if it's replacing, I did an interview the other day actually for Tiger Paw with a guy, and I love the tagline that he used, getting rid of the tyranny of the box, right? So some of these cloud supporting solutions that people are offering for offices and VPNs and SD-WANs, et cetera, which are very different than they were, 5 years ago, right? So that's one. So to get these salespeople to stay, Ken, and maybe we should start talking about solutions a little bit. And one is definitely flat rate. And for those that have gone through a training that are certified, it becomes very clear very quickly that sales reps actually get paid more under a flat rate deal than they do under a traditional, cost per page deal, right? It's exciting to see.
There's more profit in it, so you can afford to pay them more.
Correct. Yeah. If I'm paid on GP with a traditional deal right now, I don't want it. If I'm paid under GP under a flat rate deal where we actually increase those profits and I'm getting paid not just on the hardware, but on the MPS revenue, then that's something as a sales rep that I'm excited about, right? And we've talked about this, that you can pay them either on total percent revenue, which is one way to do it. I know a lot of dealers that do it that way. And then I know dealers that we work with as well that do it on a smaller amount up front on the revenue, on the gross profit, and then a longer annuity tail, that travels throughout the life of the deal, right? So, but anyway you shake it, both of those are way better.
Yeah. And for those of you that think that they won't buy, or that sales reps won't like an annuity plan, think about how often your life insurance agent changes insurance companies. They may add a product, but they never leave the one they've got because they have that annuity there. And I'm a
Absolutely.
firm believer that the key to retaining your sales reps is get them on an annuity plan so that they start to have so much stake in staying with you and meeting their goals and their quotas that, the thought of leaving you would scare them to death.
Yeah. Ken, and that's a really good reminder, actually, as we've talked about both with the model for flat rate and paying reps on an annuity. These aren't things that we've made up, right? I would love to sit here and tell you that I was the awesome genius that came up with, flat rate, and that Ken was the awesome genius that came up with annuity-based, payments for sales reps. And that's simply not true. They've been doing it in other industries, right? The question has always been, how do we adapt those things to fit our industries?
Yeah.
That's what Ken and I do. That's where Ken and I get excited, is to be able to adapt those things that already exist, that have already had success in other channels, to be able to help our channel, right? We're not inventing anything here.
Yeah. We're just plagiarizing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legally, of course. Yes.
Yes, legally, of course.
So that's it. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on the flat rate. Believe me, we're on episode number 13 right now. So if you haven't heard some of the stuff we've talked about already, you can definitely get onto our YouTube channel or onto our website to be able to view all of the past ones, right? The second solution, and this is why we had Jeff on, today, was diversifying, right? And there are going to be dealers out there that do not do flat rate. There are going to be dealers that are not going to really invest that much more in their, managed print or copier side of their business, but they are going to diversify. And I think every dealer should. I don't think it's an option in, 2021. I can remember a couple of years ago kind of sitting on the fence when I'd be speaking with dealers, said, no, I understand these diversification options, but we're just going to be the best pure play managed print provider in the market, right? I don't think in 2021 that's even a viable option anymore, but you got to diversify, right? One of the e-guides that I did for, Tiger Paw, because me, Ken, I love to, to dig into things. And it's like, well, how much money is there? Like, how much market in each of these things can we go after? So if it's cloud services, if it's managed desktop, if it's cybersecurity, what do those market sizes look like, right? What are the margins in those markets? And it took me a long time to get the research done, but it just blew my mind. So there's so much more money in there, right? And if you talk to Jeff, if you talk to other people that are doing managed IT, you are making a bunch more per seat on these other services than you are just on the print piece, right? So that if you're adding cybersecurity, if you're adding managed desktop, if you're managing their servers and other infrastructure, if you're doing these things, then you're going to bump, that per seat billing from anywhere from 95. I've spoken with dealers that are doing over $200 per seat, depending on how much they own in that customer environment, right? And when we worked out the math in the past for, what that looks like just for the print piece of it, it's anywhere from $17 to $24, per user, right? It's a very small portion of that $95 to $200 per seat.
Yes.
So,
well, and that's the key to this is it's not replacing your existing revenue, but it's incremental revenue. And you're going to be selling, at least some of this is going to go to existing customers who are the easiest sale because they're already doing business with you. The other thing it does is it gives you the opportunity to get your foot in the door to your competitors that are not doing this. So and hopefully you should know where every copier in town who's got it and what they're doing. So if you took all of your sales reps and let them manage IT or manage telephones or some other service to get your foot in the door and point them at all of your competition's customers and say, go out and try to get this piece of business from them. Because if you get that piece, then adding the copiers when the lease comes due gets so much easier.
I love this. I just got another message from Jeff, and he said, I quote, we rarely even quote on a print rate any longer, right? So we take care of all the security and network needs and just assume responsibility of all the print. So he is literally folding that print into the rest of the pricing for whatever solution he's offering, right? It's beautiful. Yeah. So I call that a by the way sale, right? It's like, here's what we're going to charge you for this, this, and this. And by the way, we'll also take care of the print that's included. No page, pricing or whatever, right? So I love that. That is such a clever way to do it, right? And it makes sense because it is a smaller portion of that entire deal to be able to tell them that you're going to assume to do that. That's beautiful, Jeff. I can't thank you for that enough. That is a really good sales, angle, right?
Yeah.
Don't even try and sell the print. Sell everything else, include the print, make it a by the way sale, and just include it, right? And boy, that sounds a lot, Ken, like flat rate. It's just in there.
It does. Kind of sounds that way.
Well, that's great. Really appreciate that comment, Jeff. So we've talked about solution one, which is flat rate. And again, as we've said, this is not going to, be the end of your journey. Solution number one leads into solution number two, which is you got to diversify and get into the services. And as Jeff said, to be able to make the print piece a much smaller part of your revenue base. There is a third option. And I think I shared this one with you already, Ken. We talked about it a little bit before the show. It's not a bad option, but it's not one that's going to help you grow. And that is, go ahead.
And I would say this is, again, given the trend in the industry that we have declining volume and declining prices, what's happening to the value of your business is the value of your business is going to go down based on the multiple of the recurring revenue, because that number is going to be getting smaller.
Yeah.
So if you don't do something to build that number, when you sell your business, if you sell it now, it's going to be worth more than it is next year.
Right.
And, I'm not saying that you need to run out of the business, but this is the option. When your revenues are going down, your margins are going down, every year that you don't do something, your business is going to be less profitable and less valuable.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's the thing, is that if you are looking to sell to a mega dealer today, you're either probably already in the process, or B, if you're not, that you're going to look much more valuable and get more return if you start doing these things that we've been talking about anyway, right? So solutions 1 and 2, get things under flat rate. Number 2, diversify, bundle everything together, like Jeff does at Bendix, right? Even if you're looking at number 3, it's still going to make, your valuation worth a lot more down the road, right?
Yeah, because all of the mega dealers, they're already bundling all this stuff together and selling everything.
Yep.
I look at Marco, as an example. I can remember when I started supporting them 20 years ago, or 23 or 4 years ago now with Sharp. And at that point in time, they were the largest cabling installer in the state of Minnesota. Because if you install the cable, guess what? What's going where.
Yeah. Yeah. Cabling was a great in, right? Very smart. Hey, we are running out of time here at 11:29. So what I did want to make sure that everyone knows, so we talked about earlier with, flat rate. Ken and I obviously will continue to do these shows, and we'll do these micro dives into some of these topics. But we did our 10-day challenge, was seen around the world. I remember the one day, Ken, we had over 400 people logged in and viewing. And it's an exceptional set of learning for you for flat rate if you want to get it. And you can get it for free. And Ken, I know you hate this because every time I put that word free up there,
it's money out of my vacation fund.
That's right. He's going to Mexico next week, people.
So if next week I'm on the show in a bathing suit and I have a drink in my hand and there's beach behind me, you'll know why.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and by all means, you can pay us for it. It'll cost you, I think, $239 is what we're charging for
Right.
now, Ken, and that is on the website. But if you want it for free, and this is my big plug because Ken, I love elevating the space that we're in and getting people to work together. Join the MPSA, and Ken and I will give you access to the 10-day challenge for free. So $239 for our package, $250 for the MPSA. It's kind of a no-brainer, right? So you will get access to our content for free. And more importantly, not just access to our content, you'll get to hang out with people that are doing very much what Ken and I are doing and others are doing in the industry, which is working together to figure out what our future is. That's what the Managed Print Service Association does. We're not patting each other on the back and talking about the good old days and how it's all going to come back. We are driving this industry towards the future together, right? Rising tides raise all ships. So, yeah, do some great learning on flat rate, join the MPSA, and start helping your industry out, right?
I agree 100%.
Looks like I got a delivery person here. The last thing I'll leave her with while my dog's going nuts, get flat rate certified. Ken and I can help. We can take you through the training. If you've already got a program and you're just looking for the certification, we can take you through the testing. So, Ken, better go get my delivery and shut my dog up. Jeff Bendix, thank you very much again for joining us today. And until next time, keep on doing it flat. All right,
We'll see you guys.
Cheers, everybody.
All right.